Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Wolf, and it is time to take a look at Paragon. This is the one I was most excited for, and it didn't disappoint, but it didn't wow either, I'll be honest with you. I think there's a lot of options for some really, really fun stuff, but it'll have to depend on how the scaling turns out and how it meshes with some of the other warrior options. I think there's a lot of potential, but it's really going to come down to how it just feels to play in fractals. So a quick overview of what they've got access to. They are going for a 3 chant option here with the adrenaline angle. It is only going to be level 1 burst skills here, so that is going to have a major effect because you're going to be spending a lot of your adrenaline on the chant options here, the refrain options rather. So these are refrains with a what the fuck are they called? Refrains with like a pulsing AoE going on them. I'll just let this play in the background here. And then the utility skills are going to be singular pop-off abilities that then have another extra pulse afterwards. But if you use the chants that you see here with the refrain on them, then they will pulse the extra echo effect, and you can have the echo effect go off multiple times with some of the options, which are really cool. But unfortunately with the chants here, there isn't really a offensive damaging one. Every single one is kind of like what is it? It's bargain revenant, I'd call it. Bargain herald, budget herald, because you'll see he's pulsing the AoE here, which is really, really nice. So this is going to do a bunch of different things, depending on which one you have active. You can see the little icon around the chant that he has active here. There's a little bit of an animation, and then we'll pulse AoE boons. So in this case, the first one's going to give you Might and then Fury, and you'll see this little mechanic right here as well. So this is your stacking motivation counter. So this is going to go all the way up to 10, and you're going to get motivation based on activating one of these. You'll get 4, I believe it is, per time you press it. Yeah, you'll see he gains 4 motivation there. And then you're going to gain motivation when you use the F1, so the level 1 burst as well. And then you're going to also gain it when you switch to one of the other ones. And then it will basically switch the pulsing active effect that you have around you. And it will perpetually pulse until you run out of the motivation indicator here. So it's like you put up a facet, rather than walking in a straight line around Labyrinth for 25 years and not having to press any other buttons, you have to basically keep this stacking mechanic up. Now, there is a trait that will make it so your 4th and 5th skills will actually give you motivation, which is going to entirely change how it works and create a really diverse set of what you can play with Paragon, because then all of a sudden Cyclone Axe gives you motivation, Dual Axe gives you motivation, Rush and Great Sword Throw gives you motivation, Spear Marshal Support gives you motivation, whatever the fuck Spear 5 is, what is it? Sword 5, Offhand Sword 5, or Offhand Sword 4, sorry. Warhorn gives you motivation. Shield Block gives you motivation. Shield Bash gives you motivation. Skull Crack, and whatever the hell the other ones are. I don't remember what Offhand Mace does. I get Longbow here with 3 shots of motivation here on the Longbow. And then you have another shot with Pin Down. Rifle. I'm trying to think what else there is. Blade Storm for Dagger, which is really sick. So there's going to be a lot of weapon variants just because of that one singular option, and that is baked in. So if we skip ahead a little bit here to the trait line. So this one right here is the option for skill 4 and 5 give you 4 stacks of motivation, which is going to allow you to use, like I said, pretty much any weapon at any point, doing relatively whatever you want. Now, the options for the traits themselves are unfortunately kind of mid. I'll kind of go through this in varying parts based on what I want to talk about. So these are exceptionally simple. I'll start with these, I suppose. Like I said, you have your motivation stacks. You generate your motivation stacks from pressing these or from pressing a burst skill, and then the motivation will slowly deteriorate as you're keeping up the aura, basically. So what you want to do is activate one that you're not going to use, activate another one you're not going to use, which will then put you to 8 stacks, and then you want to use the one that you want to keep up at the time, and then pulse that around you most of the time. Now, with the first trait line, they all kind of suck dick aside from the first one. The first one makes it so that your call to action right here will immediately activate the moment you enter combat. So let me cut back a few seconds here. Gain motivation when you enter combat, which will give you 4 stacks to start. If no refrains are active, automatically activate the chant of action. But the cool thing is that when you activate this from starting combat, you'll see it goes off there, it pulses. You'll see it didn't actually go on cooldown. So in this case, if you enter combat, you'll go up to 4 motivation stacks. You can pop it again, and then you'll go up to 6, something like that, because this will pulse passively, and then you lose more motivation the higher you are in motivation. So if you're at 10, you're going to lose 3 per pulse. If you're under 7, you're going to lose 2 per pulse. And then if you're under 4, I think you lose 1 per pulse. But you get less boons depending on how much motivation is consumed. So if you consume more on the higher end, you get more boons on that pulse. If you consume less on the lower end, you get less boons on that pulse. So the thing is, there's actually a lot of options for what you can do here, because if you're running this, you go into combat with this trait as well right here, which if I skip a little farther deeper in here, you skip in here, there's an option right there that is, let me just go back here. When you use one of the chants, it'll reduce the cooldown of the other ones. So in this case, you just want to press a shit ton of them, and then it'll allow you to cycle them pretty often to try and it'll be really nice to do like a mini game of sorts to keep your motivation high. There are a lot of ways to keep one buff ticking for a very, very long time, I think. They didn't do any of the like really optimal stuff that I assume you can probably do with it to keep one thing ticking perpetually. Because you go into combat with this one, it triggers, you're at 4 stacks, you pop it again, you're at 8 stacks, it pulses 1 AoE, you hit level 4 here, it goes back up to 10, it pulses a big pulse, you hit this again, you go up to 10 again, pulses again, which is kind of why I think they didn't do a damaging chant, which is kind of a shame. I kind of wish they did, or that there was like an option in here where call to action would do like an AoE damage pulse would be really nice, but they didn't offer something like that because I think it would have been a little too OP. But maybe they're scared of like AFK Necros bleeding over into Warrior or something like that. But so then there's also Invigorating Tempo. Heal yourself and gain adrenaline for each point of motivation spent. Adrenaline is going to be a very, very big thing in this case. So you get extra adrenaline here, and then Burst Mastery is going to be one of the best options by far, because you're going to get an adrenaline refund, and then you're going to also get adrenaline on weapon swap. And you're probably going to be weapon swapping quite a bit because you want to use your 4-5, weapon swap 4-5, and that will give you stacks of motivation each depending on which weapon set you're running, right? So in this case, you'll get extra adrenaline for each motivation spent while you're chant swapping or bursting or whatever have you. And you're going to also be using these bursts in ulterior methods because of the abilities down here, which, like I said, you activate them and then they have a extra effect that goes off again afterwards. But if you use one of the chants or a burst, that effect will go off instantly, which you then also get an option that allows you to make those effects that go off a second time, which allows you to get even more boons and even more cool options. Now, they do cover the utility skills. I'll go into those in just a little bit here, but I just want to show you the end trait line. So this is the one that's really important for DPS. This is the strengthening option. This is going to be for the DPS option. This will make it so you get 20% increased damage, increased condition damage, and a lifesteal damage, although there's not really any lifesteal options on Warrior that I know of. So that will be the one that you're running as a DPS setup, which is kind of odd that they went for this, but the way I would run this would be this option, this option, this option. And so this will make it so when you enter combat, you'll get 4 stacks, and then you'll have a 20% damage buff the minute you enter combat. So then you pop this again, and then you'll be pulsing a bunch of might. You'll have 8 motivation stacks, granting yourself 20% damage. So you have 20% damage from this, and then however many might stacks, so 7 might, which is a decent amount of solo power. and plus pulsing perpetual might over top of that, so you're going to have relatively reasonable damage going into something. And then if you hit axe 5 while you have this buff up, you have like 30% damage increase on axe 5, so surprisingly decent damage on axe 5. Flip over to dagger 5, and then you just absolutely shit stomp everything in your face, which is pretty dope. So if I go back just a little bit, they gave warrior alacrity, which is going to be really nice as well. So if you're playing in a group, then Staff Alacrity Paragon is going to be a very, 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 very good healer in Fractals. And I'm definitely going to be running that myself, rather than trying to play Heal Berserker, which is a little bit of a meme, but it does work. At least, well, I haven't really tried it myself, but I've heard that it works. That one's pulsing quickness with Heat the Soul and what have you. But in this case, we can play Alacrity Heal, or we could play Alacrity DPS as well, which is going to be really nice for Warrior. So you can now fill Q DPS, you can fill A Heal, and you can fill A DPS, all within the same class, which is really, really nice. And then the final option in the trait line here is going to buff everything. So your stacks of might will increase per level of your chance. Like I said, they go up to 3 levels based on 1 to 4, 5 to 7, and 7 to 10. I think it is 8 to 10. And then, like I said, pulses, spoons, and whatnot perpetually. So the higher level it goes, the more you'll get from it. Now, because of the choices you have in the tiers, these two are basically fucking irrelevant. This is concentration and healing power, and then concentration and healing power while you have an aura active. And then this is fucking garbage. I'm not even going to cover it. It's that trash. So you run this option because everything else sucks dick. And then after that, you run this option because the other two are kind of mid. And then you pick between whether you're playing A heal, A DPS, playing solo, or being greedy. Because even if you want to be greedy, you're probably going to be stuck on A heal. Like, honestly, if they would switch the alacrity option for one of these, then, like, not even the alacrity option, just one of these two for one of these. But, I mean, then you don't get the damage buff on combat entrance, so... yeah, I don't know. These two suck. But this will give you extra healing per level as well. So this chant will pulse healing around you. So this one does might, this one does healing, and then this one stun breaks and gives stability at the end. So across the board, you're going to pretty much stay in this one if you're playing DPS. You're going to stay in this one if you're playing healing. And then you're going to press this when shit goes bad. And yeah. So like I said, there break stuns in and out in an area around you, and then pulse of swiftness. So you're never gonna fucking stay in this one. You're just gonna press it when shit goes sideways. You're gonna build up your motivation, and you're gonna switch back to call to action or your healing one. Being able to pulse a like perpetual healing aura is really, really nice. So big fan of that for the healing route. And then you've got your commands here. This is what I was saying with the echo effect that goes off around you again, which you're gonna run the second time. Or you're going to run the second pulse here 99% of the time, I'm pretty sure. There's some options in here that are just like so much better than the other ones. It's crazy. But that happens sometimes. So in this case, there are 2 damage shouts. Now, the builds that they run in these tests are always like giga weird shit. They'll run like Celestial, or in this case, he's got a massive fucking health pool, so he has no power scaling whatsoever on the build. So in this case, the shout hits like an absolute wet noodle. So if you're running a a full power setup, then this AoE shout might actually do crazy damage. If you do a AoE shout with, or AoE command, it's all the same shit. If you do an AoE command with big power, with high might, with a 20% damage increase here, there's this one that does an AoE, and then another one that does an AoE. And one of the things I found really lacking from Warrior was activatable damaging abilities. Berserker has a couple with like the Shattering Blow, where you slam the rock in someone's face. That's really cool. Wild Blow, and then what is it? Spellbreaker. Spellbreaker doesn't have shit, I don't think. And Bladesworn, I've never even fucking picked. I don't even think I've unlocked it. So yeah, everything else is just kind of mid. Frenzy, Bull's Charge. Bull's Charge is like the only real active that doesn't blow cheeks. Everything else kind of sucks. Not gonna lie, for actual actives. Headbutt, but that's an elite, so whatever. But what I found lacking was like big AoE utility skills. So in this case, you wind up with a scenario where you gain might per enemy hit, or you gain might period, and then might per enemy hit, and then the echo will go off again, giving you extra might on burst skill. So if you're running, say for example, Greatsword, which I'm probably going to run with this, or even just basic Greatsword axe, you dive into combat with this option, with Greatsword 5, you get into combat, you'll wind up with, having used Greatsword 5, you get 4 motivation because of the trait here. Then you start combat, you get 4 motivation with the pulsing might here. Now you've dove into the fray with like 6 things on top of you. It'll pulse 3 down, I'm pretty sure, because you'll be at the 8 to 10 threshold because you're starting off at 8 because 4 and 4. And then you'll go down, you'll press it again, that'll put you up to 9, I think. And now you've pulsed a shit ton of might on top of yourself. And then you'll pop Find Their Weakness, do a giga AoE shout, because keep in mind you have 20% increased damage, plus you now have might from one, might from another, pulsing might over top, and then you'll get 5 might plus might per enemy struck, and then you'll whirlwind through everything with Greatsword 3, and then you'll pulse again, you'll go down to 6, then you'll arcing slice through everything, you'll go back up to 10, you'll 100 blades on the spot because we haven't movement unlocked it because it's 2025 and we fucking hate warriors, and then you'll pulse again, you'll go down to 7, you'll wing the Greatsword through everyone, it'll come back through, you'll go up to 10, you'll pulse again, you'll weapon swap, you'll dual strike, and then you'll pulse again, and then you'll Cyclone Axe over top of everything, all with 20% damage buff, with like 25 might solo at this point. And you've just shit on everything. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be pretty fun. The other options, not gonna lie, kind of suck. The heal itself does a big AoE heal around you, heals allies, which is really nice, which allows you to do supportive stuff, scales with healing power. The refrain, what the fuck, the echo, so many things, they're all the same shit. The echo will do another AoE heal, which will then go off twice if you're picking this option. So like I said, your options are this, and then your choice based on whether or not you're playing Alacrity, DPS, or support, or like full heal, because this will be the healing option. Then, well, not even. If you're playing the heal option, you play a heal, unless you have an A DPS, in which case you can play full heal. I get more value there. But 90% of the time, you're going to want to fill both slots of Alacrity and heal at the same time, or Alacrity and DPS at the same time. So, like, you're literally going to be on this 95% of the time playing Paragon, which, I mean, it's whatever. Other options, the trait line that's going to give you Soldier's Might will be really, really good, because you're going to be granting absolutely turbo shit tons of might constantly, especially if you're running this. Then Soldier's Focus is going to be pulsing a shit ton of might and healing you every time you're pulsing it. So then this option also sucks dick, because this gives you healing every time your refrain ticks, or your motivation, or every time you gain motivation, I'm pretty sure. But there's literally no point to do that, because Soldier's Focus will be applying might around you, and then also healing you every time you apply might, which you're applying might in an area. So good luck fucking dying at that point, which is just spectacular. So Burst Mastery trait line to get as much value as possible. Soldier's Focus trait line to get insane healing and insane might around you. And then 1-3-1, because you're going to be the Alacrity bitch 99% of the time, because it just exists, so functionally that's what you're stuck with. Gonna fill a very, very good spot in the team for sure. A heal is going to be very, very strong with perma 25 might solo, pretty sure. Can run staff for healing options, can run axe for fuck you reasons, could run axe dagger, could run axe dagger. What else? Spear is kind of actually mid, which is kind of funny, not gonna lie, because Spear Martial Support has a long ass cooldown. And Spear 5, I don't even remember what it does. Oh no, that's a Spear Swipe where you like jump backwards, so that's garbage. Yeah, Yeah. The irony. There is zero spear interaction with this fucking setup whatsoever. I saw the bouncing spear thing in the trailer, and I thought that that was a part of Paragon, because I don't remember the spear actually bouncing, and I was using it like last week. So, God knows at that point. But, yeah, so, Never Surrender. This is a meme. Absolutely a meme. Because they forgot that, what's the thing called? Save Yourselves exists. So this is absolute garbage as a result, because what you're going to do is there is a trait that makes it so shouts heal your allies, and then there is an option for a relic that will make it so shouts remove conditions as well, because there is zero condi removal on any of this. I'm pretty sure there is resolution, but I don't think there's condi removal from everything that I saw here. I might have just been blind. You berate me in the comments if that's the case. So in this case, break stuns, gain boons. The cooldown of this skill is increased if used to break a stun. So if you break a stun, it goes up to 30-second cooldown. If you don't break a stun, 15-second cooldown. But you get resistance, resolution, which I find resistance and resolution at the same time on the same sequence is ironic and pointless, because like non-damaging conditions on you are currently are ineffective, and then damaging conditions are, oh, I guess they change resistance at some point. Have some like read tooltips, I guess. So 33% cool or condition damage reduction. There's no physical damage reduction on this at all. That is so garbage. I'm not gonna lie. That is such trash. The reason I say this is absolute trash is because Save Yourselves is a 24-second cooldown and you get 2 charges. So you get 30 seconds if you break stuns, or you get 2 AoE stun breaks on a 24-second cooldown, which is just better across the board. And then the shouts will heal you. And I think the shouts heal you option is literally in the soldier's focus line, which you're going to want to take 99% of the time because of the amount of might you're going to be shitting out constantly. So, yeah, this is never going to see play. So, that's fun. And then the next one is the secondary damage command, which they'll show here. Damage and apply cripple to enemies around you. Like I said, the big thing is how do these power scale, because 15-second cooldown and I think like 20-second cooldown on this. So if you have a big power build and both of them crit, you're going to do a shit ton of AoE damage, which will be really nice if you're playing a damage dealing setup. Now, they do have an animation, an actual cast time, which means you're not going to be able to use it in the middle of like Cyclone Axe or something, which is unfortunate. Although it would be really fun to play. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing Torch in the offhand, and I'm going to do axe, flip torch, and I'm gonna drop the whirling wrath, or what is it, the flames of war on myself, flip back to the axes, throw up the fucking the whirling refrain, nail everything with on your knees, and then just cyclone axe over top and shit out a bunch of fireballs on everything. Oh, it's gonna be great. Oh, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be dope as fuck. 100% gonna do that. That'll be a fun build. Whirling Paragon. It'll be great. And then you got Brace Yourselves, which is going to give you Barrier, and then apply the AoE again after you use the effect. One thing I want to see here, actually, that I didn't see for a second. But I'll apply Barrier again. It's kind of unfortunate none of the echoes do like an extra AoE damage thing around you. They really didn't opt for much in the way of damage here, which is a shame. I kind of wish they did like at least one AoE damage thing here and like one AoE damage refrain or echo, just to give you that option, but it doesn't exist. And then finally, there is the Paragon Wing skill, if I could click it. We Will Never Yield, which is really sick, but also kind of unfortunate. I was really hoping this would pick you up off the floor, but it doesn't. So, honestly, War Banner's better. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame. Because, like, your health cannot be reduced below 0. Okay, that's great. But they literally said you need to time it or you die. So, in that case, you might as well just run Battle Standard, because you can revive 5 people with it. So, it's kind of mid. It's really cool to have the Paragon wings come out, even though they look like Gem Store basic wings, which is kind of unfortunate. It'd be really nice if the wings were on you while you were doing the chants. That would be sick, but instead they only pop when you do We Will Never Yield, which lasts 3 seconds, which that's pretty fucking mid, I'm not gonna lie. You need a 3-second window. So you need to know what's coming, press it at the right time, and then hopefully be able to top them off afterwards. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think battle standard's just easier. Just let the fucking elementalists go down and then slam the thing over top of them, and who the fuck cares? We're fine. But I don't know. Like, I'm optimistic because I definitely think there's really fun options you can do with it, but at the same time, I think you're gonna literally be stuck on 131 95% of the time. The fact there is AoE damaging utilities is going to be really fun to mess with. Soldier's Focus is going to be crazy OP. They forgot Save Yourselves exists, so this button's never going to see use. The heal's really good because it's going to get an AoE secondary double pulse. This pulse is AoE healing around you, and you can maintain 10 momentum. Surprisingly easy, even though they never showed any optimal play what you could do with this whatsoever. Weapon swapping is going to give you adrenaline from using burst mastery in the burst mastery line because you get like extra adrenaline when you weapon swap. Sigil of the cooldown reduction is going to make it so whenever you kill things, you're getting 2 seconds off every single refrain here, which coupled with the refrain on swap is also going to be nice if you decide to run that, depending on which options you run here. Shouts heal you will be very, 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 very good because you're going to take Save Yourselves over that. And yeah, all in all, I'll say excited to see how I can break it on the test. That's going to be my option, I think, because I think there's a lot of option for some really, really fun stuff, but you might just be stuck being an A-heel bitch. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll say I'm cautiously optimistic. If they would put more Paragon wings on other things, that would be really nice because every single Paragon chant used to give you wings, which was pretty sick. I understand it being only on the elite, but I would rather have it be on the chants while you're maintaining the field. You've got the wings out rather than on the elite. But I could also see how that fucks with people's MTX of like having wings on your character and now second set of wings. And what about third wings? You know, like that's kind of how it goes. But yeah, I would say out of 10, I haven't seen Ritualist yet, and the Antiquarian's a fucking meme, so I skipped that shit altogether. I don't want to be on the hype. Imagine fucking speaking English. I don't want to be on the hate train because hate Guild Wars 2 content does not do well. Full stop. So I don't even give a shit. I'll play it when I play it, and then we'll figure it out when we get there. But I'm looking forward to playing it. It should be fun. Definitely going to do some fractals and dungeons and open world with it. A lot of build variation because of the weapon swapping option here for 4-5. We Will Never Yield is cool, but I would really like it to revive you off the floor because otherwise War Banner is just better to be able to mass revive because you can literally save groups with War Banner. I have saved full fractal teams on Berserker just by bringing Battle Standard. It is crazy. So base Battle Standard being better than We Will Never Yield is a little fucking ironic in my opinion because we do yield and then we get them back up afterwards by slamming a big stick in front of all 5 of my dead teammates. But yeah, popping Paragon wings gives you 3 seconds of please don't go down, Timmy. So I don't know about that one, Chief. And then Barrier is kind of mid, whatever. Like I said, the 2 damaging shouts are really nice. Commands, fucking whatever. Same shit. 2 damaging commands are really nice. They're going to give you a lot of adrenaline. It's going to be very, very adrenaline hungry. But it's going to be a lot of weapon swapping involved because of the 4-5. Yeah, I'll say 8 out of 10. Oh, wait, no. I gave Gale Shot 7 out of 10. Is this better than Gale Shot? Oh, that's tough. I mean, Gale Shot's fucking mid at best. I might actually lower Gale Shot's score. I might put Gale Shot to 6 out of 10 and give this to 7. Not gonna lie. I haven't seen Ritualist yet. I'm hoping Ritualist blows me out of the fucking water. But give me more Paragon wings. Make the wings pop out when I have the chant running 24/7. The AoEs are really nice. Those are like the big 2 takeaways. Is the activatable AoE utilities. I want to see how they scale with power and how much damage they do when they crit. You can probably sustain 25 might solo in the open world very, very easily. You can sustain 10 motivation very, very easily with the right weapon sets. I like the weapon set variation, so that bumps it up a point. Just the fact that you can play literally anything and do like an entire armor master like set of stuff. These two both suck dick. Fix those. That's useless when you have Soldier's Focus, which you're taking 90% of the time. Move this, or else you're never going to be able to pick anything out of the Grandmaster line. Like, literally flip these, and then throw these two in the trash, I think. If you put this here, you get a lot more variation of everything you can pick. And then, because you either get 2 refrains, which will give you extra AoE pulsing, or you would get Alacrity. And then, I forgot what this is already, but this is what I mean. You cannot play Selfish, and you cannot play Full Heal if you have Alacrity in the same line. Straight up, it's not pickable. It is not pickable, which is genuinely unfortunate when things are that powerful. But yeah, 8 out of 10. Not gonna lie, excited to play it.